Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 40 of the Microgreen Thumbcast. Today, we're going to go over mastering the elements, optimizing your indoor grow space for your microgreens and any indoor farming that you might be doing. So, before we get into that episode, let's welcome in Andy, the co-host, as always. Andy, how are you doing today?
Good. That's crazy that we're 40 episodes in.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
and
hard
most
to
pop-
believe.
yeah, it's a crazy number. We missed a couple weeks, so I mean, we've been close to a year. We'll be coming up on that soon, from when we
Yeah,
started.
real
So
soon.
that's going to be a nice anniversary. We'll probably have to have Robert back on.
Yeah, that would be cool to have him come back as the original OG.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have. All right, so let's get into today's episode. We're going to talk about optimize your indoor space for your microgreens. Some of you may know this, but we'll just go in some details of how we optimize our space and talk about that. So there's things you need to do to optimize your space. Obviously, you need to have it in a controlled environment inside there, so you can control it the whole time from the elements. The watering from water from the sky. Obviously, you don't want to be out. Even if you're outdoors, you don't want to have that because that's going to change things. But you want to have your temperature, your humidity, pest control, all that kind of stuff in that indoor grow space tidied down so it's ready to go. It's important to have that. Andy, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's important to get that under control before you move your farm in.
Yes,
That's
yes.
definitely a big key piece. I mean, that's a lot of what we're dealing with right now in the new space that we're getting into is just making sure everything is buttoned down solid, all the holes are filled, that way nothing can get inside after we move in, and we get all the mess out of the way ahead of time, and then that way we just have a clean space to move into. So yeah, it's definitely very important to do it ahead of time, but it's super important to lock it down from insects, pests, all that good stuff too, and get your humidity and temperature under control.
Yeah, and you want to get that pest control done before you move into, like Andy was saying, like even that,
Yeah.
have your stuff in control, have your company there, or have your boxes to catch anything, because you might get some things that come in before you move in. So get them out of there before you get there, because like Andy's dealing with an empty building that's been for a while. We had an empty building when we came in here, so you want to check all them traps, even if they're already here. Make sure nothing's in them. See what you got to do. There's a lot of things you want to do before you get moved in, and then all of a sudden you got a mouse running around that you didn't know about. So uh,
Yeah.
get them controlled beforehand, and get your temperature in line, your humidity all down. Make sure it's down because when you bring plants in, though, it's going to raise right back up. The temperature will raise up, the
Yeah.
humidity will raise up. So keep that in mind as well. When you moved into your space, did you have that when you brought everything in? Even though if you had your stuff down, did you have to readjust after that?
It wasn't too bad when we first moved in. It became bad when we added 12 grow racks
Yeah.
in 1 week, because that was a whole lot more plants, a whole lot more water going in. And that's what led to us buying large Marge because ultimately the one we had just wasn't even close to keeping up with that level of new humidity. So thankfully she saved the day, and I would imagine I'm probably going to have to get a second one of her, or maybe one like the one you guys have with the pump built in. Once
Yeah.
I get into my new space and start filling that place up, but I think initially, because it's such a large space and we're going to have the same amount of racks initially, I don't think it's really going to affect us too much. I think if anything, it may actually be drier. I hope it'd be
Yeah.
nice to not have large Marge have to run all the time, but we'll see. Only one way to find out. Hopefully, it'll be the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're getting ready to add a new one, another one. Ours is right at 47. It's holding that. We want it really like at 45. Sometimes it gets up to when you water, it gets up to 55. So we probably need another one within our grow space and need to really look at getting one. So that's the next thing we're going to be buying equipment wise, probably here soon to take care of that because it's going to change. Like Andy said, you had 12 racks in 1 week.
Yeah.
We added 12 racks in 1 week. It changes. Boom, all that extra breathing of plants. It's going to change your humidity dramatically. If you add a rack in
Yep.
your house, when we added a rack in our house, and you got another rack or two, it changed. We had to get a bigger dehumidifier. Probably one rack. You're probably if you're in your house, you're okay. Maybe two, you're okay still without getting one. You get past that, you're going to need to get a dehumidifier for sure and then get a decent sized one. We got a little one in the beginning, had to get another one. So if you're
Yeah.
planning on making this a business, go ahead and get a decent sized one. You don't have to get a large Marge or one that we have or anything like that, but get a decent sized one that's going to take care of that. And I think you always talk, Andy, make sure you get like double of what it says.
Yeah, I usually tell people 4
4
times.
times.
So if you've got a 200 square foot space, get one that's made for 1,000 square feet. I know it sounds ridiculous because you're only working in 200 square feet, but you watering plants every single day is adding way more humidity into the air than a regular household would. So, keep that in mind. So if you got a 500 square foot space, try and get something that's, 2,000 square feet that's ready to handle that just in case, because you can grow into that, and you won't have to make the mistake that Mike and I both have. I mean, I have 4 dehumidifiers now, that started too small and just sort of like, oh, this next one will be fine. And we learned our lesson the hard way along the way. So, but Large Marge is taking care of us. She's made for 8,000 square feet, which is only double what we have in the new space. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like in the long run, I'm probably going to need either another big one or a very big one.
Yeah.
So we'll
One
see.
I know one grower who has his dehumidifier and everything within his HVAC system that he put in.
Yeah,
So he doesn't even have to worry about anything as it just take care of it in there. But that's a large expense
yeah,
to put on somebody
yeah,
else's building also, in my opinion. Like,
yep,
I would never put that much effort into somebody else's building, but each to their own. All right. Lights are an important part of this. Obviously, the more lights you add, the higher temperature you're going to have in the building and on your plants. Some plants do really good with multiple lights, 2 or 3. Some do just fine with 1 light. Also, power, you have to worry about that too, especially when you're in your house. You're going to run out of power really fast if you start putting 3 lights on a shelf. Even if
yeah,
they're T5s, you're going to run out fast. And I know there's somebody out there that recommends having 3 lights on there. That's going to be a problem. We found out that most plants grow great in our distance of racks with 1 light. We now have a rack that is just like Andy has, which is shorter, and it has T5s on it, 2 lights for our basil. And basil loves that, like loves it. It grows so much
yeah,
better in that environment with the 2 lights on it. It gets the spread. We noticed with the 1 light on the basil, the sides weren't as growing as tall. We put it under 2 lights, boom, bigger leaves, bigger everything, grows even. So different plants do require different lighting. You agree, Andy?
yeah, yeah. I mean, for the most part, we found that running 2 T5s per shelf has worked almost across the board for most of what we grow. But I know once we get into flowers and stuff like that, I think we're
Yeah.
going to need to up our lighting game. But that's just something we have to learn still. We haven't even tried it yet, so it's definitely on the list. Probably in
We
the next
use
2 months, I'm hoping we'll be able to get started on that.
we use 3 T5s for our flowers. So
Okay,
on
that's
the
good.
same vertical rack, so they're
Yeah,
further apart because obviously we want the flowers to stretch, as
yeah,
well. They're going to get taller than what a microgreen is going to get. So,
yep,
but yeah, three
yep.
three T5s work pretty good for us. So
That's good because I have a giant pile of T5s for when I took all my racks from 3 to 2 per shelf. I have a huge pile of T5s, so that's perfect. I'm glad
nice.
to hear that because I was worried I was going to buy something more aggressive. So
Yeah,
that's nice to
uh,
know.
yeah, I think it'd be fine. Yeah, and these are all
Nice.
LED lights as well. Like, do not
Yeah.
recommend doing fluorescent lights. Correct.
No, 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 definitely not. I mean, number one for the electrical purpose, number two for the heat they put off. I mean, it's just you'd be stupid not to just go with LEDs. They're super cheap. I mean,
Yep.
the Barina T5s, it's like $80 for 12, or 90, yeah, maybe 90 now. I don't even know, but either way, it's a heck of a deal. Versus buying like a sunblaster, for example, you buy one, it's like $120.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. So yeah, get the Barinas. They're super cheap. They work great. I mean,
Yep.
how many of you had dye in the entire time you've been doing this? Like
Two.
lights.
2.
Yeah, I've had 0. I
I've
mean,
had 2.
all of my original ones are all still good. I've had 3 or 4 switches that I've had to replace, but that was it. And they come with so many that I mean, I
Yeah.
have a huge
Yeah.
bin just full of switches. So,
Yeah. It's right
yeah,
over there.
I've
Then the switches.
yeah, I've had literally none of the lights die on me except one that I literally broke, and it was my own fault, because I was like doing something with it and I ended up breaking it, but that was it. Other than that, they've all worked like a champ.
Yeah.
But I've got a million of them ready to swap out. They swap out in seconds. It's awesome.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I mean,
They're
just
easy to
yeah,
switch
go with
out. Yeah.
Barinas. Yeah,
Yeah.
super easy.
And the T5s, like if you like, we have T5s on the one rack, and then they just tie into the other T8s. You only have one. It all kind of ties in together. You can make it all work with that, even though there's 2 on one and 1 on another one. The cords work great together. They're easy to tie in together. And the T5s and T8s work great together. If you got to use like we do, we use them both. So they all tie in
Yeah.
great together.
Which makes sense, because I mean, ultimately, each shelf is getting 40 watts essentially,
Yep.
either 2 times 20 or 1 times 40. So
Yep.
that's pretty cool that you can actually tie them together. I didn't know that. That's good to know. I've never owned a T8. I have 0 T8s. So for me, it'll be an interesting thing to even go down that road.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the T8s because it's just the one light, the distance we do, but when you start running out of space, and the basil's on 6 now, we might be going down that road of changing our shelf space eventually to shorter so we can
Yeah.
get more products in the same space. But that's when we run out of space, which is hopefully soon when the distributor comes on. So just need more people to handle all that.
Yeah. You
We
need
need people
staff
power.
right now more than anything.
Yeah. Yes. For sure. For sure need that. So lights and lighting cycles. I don't think lighting cycles matter as much as people think they do.
Yeah.
I've tried 12 all the way up to 18, and to me, they grow the same at 12 or 18. Don't have any issues with it, and you get to use less power. I don't know if you experienced anything with that, Andy.
We honestly have not messed with lighting time at all. I mean, we just went in with 14 on and 10
Yeah,
off and have kept it like that since day one. Just because it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's kind of
exactly.
the mentality and,
Yeah,
and all the stuff I've seen, like you said, I mean, there's so many people out there that are like, oh, you got to do 24 hours a day or you got to do 18 hours a day. And nobody gets any different results. And I know you guys actually tested that,
yeah,
at one point and found there was really very little difference between one versus the other. So, I think once we move into the new space, I'm probably going to go to 12 on and 12 off, which I think is what you guys use now, if I'm not
yep,
mistaken.
yep,
And then that way, like I can start them, and I'm going to switch to overnight as well because right now they turn on pretty early in the morning, so that way all the water's going to get pushed up, and by the time
yeah,
we get there and harvest, the hope would be that that's taken care of. But I would rather have them shut off in the middle of the night and then have them sit in the total darkness for a bit and shove all that water back down,
yeah.
then that way we can harvest even drier the next day. So that's my plan once we get moved as well, is to turn them over tonight. So it'd just be easier.
That's the nice thing about moving. You can kind of reset things and change them the way you want to do
Yeah.
it now and everything else. So it's that is nice about moving. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure paying
Yeah.
the two
Definitely a nice plus.
leases isn't nice right now, but
No, no, not at all. The 2 electric bills, the 2 internet bills, the 2 trash bills, the 2 lease. Yeah, it's not enjoyable whatsoever. But, that's the downside of finding new commercial space, that the address didn't exist in the system ever. So that's super fun.
and even if you do have all that and it's perfect and you don't have to really do anything, you're going to have a month at minimum that you're going to have 2
Yeah.
leases at minimum.
Yep. At least.
Because
Yeah.
you can't move out one day and into the next place the next day. That's not possible. You
Yeah.
have to. You could do it all maybe in one day, but you're still going to be paying lease and everything else. But you're always going to have that situation. Hopefully not months. If you got things, but it can happen. It's commercial space. You just never know what you're going to run into. So
Yeah, and it's beyond the fact that it's commercial space. It's that you're having to get building permits and inspections and everything else. I mean, that
that's what
the
I mean. Yeah, by
government can be
commercial. Yeah,
fast or the government can be super slow. And unfortunately, the place I'm moving to, they are ridiculously slow. So the place I'm in now, they were fantastic. Half the time I called them up for an inspection, they were there within 30 minutes, ready to rock and roll, which was fantastic. So that flew through.
is it a
A
different
majority of
county?
that was just all the work that I had to do. Yeah. Yeah. And
Different
plus
county.
it's also in town. So you're not even dealing with the county level people, you're dealing with the town level people who have very little to do. So they had tons of free time, which was awesome. I mean, I applied for the
Nice.
building permit at 9 o'clock that in the morning, and I had it in my hands by noon the same day, which is unheard of compared to the place I'm in now, where it took about 4 months before I finally got the building permit in hand. And a lot of that was just them discovering the fact that this building even existed because they had no clue it was there, which was super fun. So
Yeah,
that's one
that's super fun.
downside. You never know what you're walking into.
Yeah. So learn from Andy's lesson here, guys. So make sure you
Yeah.
do a lot of due diligence and make sure they have an address that's
Yeah.
listed with the
Yeah.
city because that can
Yeah.
be an
Just because it
issue.
has numbers on the front of the building, apparently that doesn't mean anything.
Anybody can slap
That's my
numbers up,
luck.
I guess.
Yeah. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah. Um, Temperature can be huge within the microgreens, obviously. So you have to be able to have temperature control. So HVAC system, obviously, you need to have that. If you're moving a commercial space, you want to make sure that they have heat and air. A lot of places like warehouse spaces are going to have heat. 99%
Yeah.
of them are not going to have air. So you want to make sure of that, or ask them if they'll add it. A lot of times if you ask for them to get the lease, they may add stuff for you. They may put that in. Um, Air probably is a big one that they probably wouldn't, but you never know unless you ask. So you can
Yeah.
always ask for stuff before you move in. But you want to have that temperature control when you're in microgreens, because if you go from low temperatures can be just as bad because they're going to stop growing. High temperatures, they're going to grow really really fast and then die off too. So what do you think are the ideal temperatures, Andy?
Yeah, we keep ours ideal, I think, between 70 and 74. We keep ours at 72 literally, and during the depending on what time of the year it is, we'll turn the heat on, and turn the cooling off and whatever, and just it just depends on what time of the year. But I want to add to what you were talking about the warehouses only having heat. So when they have heat, it's heat. It's not HVAC, it's
Yeah,
not forced air. It's literally a heater
yeah,
hanging in the corner of the building that's maybe, depending where you live, I'm sure where you guys are, it's probably even colder than where I am. In the wintertime, it's going to be 50 degrees in there if you're lucky.
yeah.
In the summertime, the heat's not going to run because it's going to be 110 in there because you're in a
Yes.
giant easy bake oven.
Yeah,
So keep that in mind. If you go in and they go, oh, it's got heat, no big deal. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it's going to be able to keep up with winter temperatures, and it's not going to do anything in the summer. It's going to be hot beyond imagination in there. So you definitely want to find some place that has climate control, full climate control, heating and cooling. It's if you don't, it's going to cost probably tens of thousands of dollars to have units put in because you're talking brand new units, brand new, running all the duct work and everything else. It's going to be very expensive. So just keep that in mind, when you're
yeah.
looking.
The heat is to keep you from freezing to death. That's
Yeah, basically. Yep. It's really bad.
it. Trust me, I've had it. We had a transportation company. That's all we had was this heat in there, and it was just one of them little brown boxes that was up in the corner of each corner,
Yep.
two of them. And when it was 20 degrees and you open up them doors, it got quite cold in that warehouse still. So
Yeah. That heat didn't stand a chance of keeping up.
no. And they're I don't know, heat rises and they always have them up in the corners,
Yeah.
so they don't
Yep.
go. Yeah, but whatever.
Just yep. Just fills the ceiling like
Yeah,
25 feet above you.
yep. We're not all that tall, so kind of a problem.
No.
Um, So but ways to control this and know what you are at, because you got to know what it is. So you want to have some temperature control devices that can tell you this. So the barometers that's got temperature and humidity on them are the best ones to get because they're both on there and they're like from Govee, I think is the ones we get. And then it can
Yeah,
go
same
right to your
ones.
phone. Then go right to your phone and you can know what it is, even if you're not there. No matter where you're at, Andy could be in his office. Andy could be on vacation. He could be wherever, and he's going to know what his stuff is in his place. So, like, say something happens, power goes out overnight, and it's 90 degrees still at night because that happens. Um, and then your temperature starts rising in that building. You're going to know. Maybe you didn't get a notification that the power was out. It's just a flicker and nothing turned back on. You're going to know right away that hey, there's an issue. That things are rising, and you can go in there, get somebody to take care of it, fix it, and everything else. So you always want to have something that you can see off site. You agree?
Yeah, 100%. And what's neat about the Govee, and it's Govee, by the way,
Yes.
if you're looking for them on Amazon or whatever, I'm sure Jess can post a link to the one that we both use. But you can actually set alerts as well. So if the temperature goes above a certain temperature, it'll start sending you alerts to your phone. If it goes below a certain temperature, it'll send you alerts to your phone as well. So if you're remote and for whatever reason the HVAC fails and all of a sudden the temperature starts getting crazy high or crazy low, you get a notification actually telling you that that's the case. So that's another nice thing is you can kind of set that range, to where it's going to give you a notification if it's outside of it. So just another thing to think about. And it's good to have, and they're cheap. I mean, I want to say they're like $15, something like that for those little units. So it's money well spent
Yeah.
to
I
know
think we
that when you're
usually buy it
away.
in like 3 packs or whatever they come in too. So just buy
Yeah. Yep.
multiples. Buy a lot of them. You're gonna need them.
Yeah. And they work in refrigerators too. So you don't
Yep.
have to add in, I think, did we have some in freezers? I can't remember if we put some in freezers or not, but it's another thing you can use
They
to
go down
regulate the
pretty
temperature to
low.
make sure your fridges are
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do, but I could be wrong. But we use them in our fridges as well, so that way we know like it's the same reason. If the fridge dies, Like if we harvest all day Wednesday with planned delivery on Thursday, and all of a sudden I get a notification that that fridge is temperature is going up, I'm like, oh crap, I
Yeah.
got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of products sitting in that thing, so I got to go in there and get that taken care of. So just good to have as kind of a backup thing. And Jess just posted it in the comments, so go grab one of those guys if you don't have one. They're well worth it.
Well worth it for sure. Humidity range. I believe you need somewhere around 40 to 50. My ideal for us is 45. I don't know what you kind of run, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, we're like around 45s where we try and keep it, but anywhere from 40 to 55 has been good for us for the most part. So it hasn't been too bad. But yeah, it's right where we try and keep it. Ideally, you're doing the what is that called? Vapor pressure deficit, VPD or whatever.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I've
That
got a
science
laser
stuff.
thermometer and we pretty much fell in the range. It's a pretty big range, honestly. It's kind of surprising how big that range actually is when you get it right. But that's all we found is just 45 and 72. Works great. I don't know what that is in, Celsius or whatever. So sorry, people, if you're not from the US.
Yeah. Do the conversions.
Yep.
They're used to probably doing that from us Americans now. So,
Oh, I'm sure.
um, humidity plays a big part in the health of plants. So you don't want it too high or too low. Like too low could be a problem too. Like you're gonna probably have to
Yeah.
water more or water heavier if you're down to like 30%. And it kind of depends on what your grow medium is as well. Like we both use Coco Loco that holds a lot of
Yep.
water and everything else and retentions of that and everything else. So if you're using like a Pro Mix or a Sun, I'll use like David for example. Did we lose Andy? Okay. Okay. I thought we
No.
lost maybe Andy. Uh, so
Just gave
we
me the virtual hook for a second there.
So if you use Sunslide Mix number 4, which we have to use occasionally, hopefully not often again or ever again, but if you have to use something else like than a Coco Loco, that is going to take more water. You're going to have to water it heavier. You're going to have to water it more often because it just doesn't retain it even at our humidity. So to do that, combat that, we would have had to drop our humidity ahead of time down to like 30%. We would have had to try to get it down to 30% to use that
Yeah.
soil at where it needs to be at. So your soil or your grow medium, whatever you want to call it, your substrate. Don't get on me, people. We call it soil. Get over it. So you can, so when you use that, it's going to matter which one you use. When you use the ProMix BX, we had to water different because our humidity, we kept it there. We'd always like to keep it at 45. We don't have to water as heavy now that we use Coco Loco. I'm sure you've figured that out as well, Andy, with your.
Oh yeah, big time. When we experimented with MP, was it last year? Last year or the year before? What a disaster!
Yeah.
I mean, we had to water so much more. It was so hydrophobic. I couldn't believe it when we were planting. I was like, this literally is bone dry. It was the
I just
weirdest
poured
thing.
water
So
all
yeah,
over it.
Coca Loco. Yeah, I mean, literally, we had to soak it down, then we come back and soak it again. It was just to get it to even be wet at all. It was insane. I've never seen
Yeah, I
anything
found
like
with
that before. So yeah,
like with Coco Loco, we used to like when we used a ProMix BX, we used to have water, then seed, and then water again to make sure it had enough water. With a Coco Loco,
yeah,
I don't water before I seed. I just seed and then I water, which saves you time
yep.
as well. So
Oh yeah.
that helps a lot, especially when you're planting 571 trays in one day. Not having to water twice helps.
Oh man, it's insane.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. So controls for these, obviously, humidifiers are dehumidifiers. If you're in a really dry climate or you're in winter and you're not growing much, like we had to add a humidifier for our first time growing. We started growing through the winter. It was January, February, and it was dry. And we were having problems with not having enough humidity. So we had to add a humidifier in there. And then we just figured out instead of that, let's just add more plants, grow more trays. You're going to take care of the
Yep.
humidity problems.
It's a lot cheaper than a dehumidifier or a humidifier
It
anyway.
is. It is.
And it makes
Uh,
you more money.
exactly. So once we got up to like 40 trays, everything else, we didn't have to have the humidifier anyway. And then we started needing the dehumidifier. So it's crazy how that works out. But depends on your conditions. And like I said, you may need a humidifier. If you're in a really dry, you're up in the mountains, you may need a humidifier to keep that humidity where you're going, depending on how many trays you're growing. So keep that in mind. We always talk about dehumidifiers, but it may be for your environment, you may need a humidifier. Just keep that in mind.
Yep.
And then one thing I think not a lot of people talk about is the air circulation. You need great air circulation. If you have stagnant air, you're going to have mold issues and everything else. So you don't want air circulation directly on the plants, but you want air circulation within the building. Andy, how do you combat with that with air circulation?
Yeah, I think you and I pretty much have the exact same setup. The only difference is yours are at the on the wall side. Ours are on the side where we're all walking all day, which means we trip over them constantly, which is super fun. But it's because our space is only 20 feet wide, so
Yeah.
we kind of run into them all the time. So once we get into the new space, I'm stealing your idea and having the fans against the wall and the racks coming off of the wall, which would be beautiful. Plus, like our
Yes.
bug guy, would be able to get in there behind and get behind against the walls and stuff. So it'll work out great.
Yep.
But yeah, that's definitely the ideal scenario. And we just have regular tower fans that just shoot straight down. They aren't rotating; they're just on like a medium-ish,
Yep.
setting or whatever, just enough to
Same.
propel air down that row. That's all you need.
Yep.
Because a lot of people make the mistake of having like I see it a lot where they buy like the literal fans, like 6-inch or 8-inch fans, and they mount one on every single rack, on every single shelf. I'm
Every
like,
single
man, that
shelf.
is
Yeah.
expensive. Not to mention you don't need it. I mean, one single fan can take care of. I mean, literally, we've got one fan that handles 8 racks. That's it.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
single fan can do 8
Yep.
racks, and it's one just basic normal, tower fan, which I think you guys use smart tower fans, if I'm not
We
mistaken,
do.
right? You get
Yep.
Govies? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna definitely probably start getting some of those because mine are definitely not smart, unfortunately. When they turn off, the power goes off. I have to go in and turn them all back on, which is annoying. So I'll probably start switching to those.
Yeah, we learned our lesson on that because we actually had them plugged into not directly into the plug like we have now to the outlet of the wall. We had them plugged on the tower thing, and then the timer would go off on the tower on the
Oh,
plug. We forgot to
oh
not
no.
set that one, so the fans would just go off, and we're like, wind needs to be going all the time, not only 12 hours when the lights are on. So we just
Yeah.
disconnected that, plug them into the wall. They're smart; they'll just take care of themselves and always stay on, and reset themselves when the power goes off. So yeah,
Yeah, and I wanna make sure everybody caught that. It's your fans are on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They should not shut off ever. So make sure you've got extras just in case, because you will have fans that will die. Obviously, they're not, manufactured to run for 24 hours a day for years.
yeah.
Even though, I mean, I think we only burned through 2 that I can recall since we started, which is kind of amazing. And
We
I think
haven't
one
went
of
through
them
any
was
yet.
because we kept knocking it over. That's
All ours are
awesome.
still running.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That says a lot about the Govee fans then. I'm
yeah.
definitely gonna be looking those up. There you go. See, you're way ahead of me. I already posted the link. I'm gonna be using that link. So I need to actually get another fan anyway because I broke another one a couple weeks ago.
Yes, I've heard people before say that you don't need fans on all the time. Go outside any time of the day. Do you feel wind? That means air needs to
Yeah,
be flowing in your farm all the time.
yeah. It's
So, like,
extremely rare that there's no wind.
yeah, there's always something. There's always some. If there is
Yeah,
zero wind, you should
yeah,
probably worry about a tornado or some hurricane or something coming.
yeah.
That's not the only
Or it's
time
the
you're probably
rapture and you better get on your knees.
yeah, yeah, like the last week when the sun was coming through and hitting my face and I was going, just saved
Yep.
me. Or didn't save me. I don't know however you want to look at it. Uh, rolled me back in, said, "Not yet, not yet." Uh, so yeah, so we talked about placement of fans. Obviously, that's critical. Only down the aisles. Don't need them on every shelf, every rack. And they don't need to be like they're on the floor, so they obviously don't reach all the way up to towers. But their air will move and move up and all that stuff and everything else. So you don't need to have it big old tower reaching 6 feet in the air or anything either. So just on the
Yeah.
ground, like Andy said, it's all you need to have. Um, so environments, definitely. Do you have any other advanced tips or any other tips or anything, Andy, about environment controls?
Um, Not that I can think of. I mean, I would say, you don't wanna have ideally, you don't wanna use a ceiling fan
Yeah,
to regulate your air movement. That it sounds like a great idea. The downside is if it's blowing down and you've got trays on every single shelf, it's really going to just hit those top trays, dry them out beyond imagination, and the air isn't really going to circulate as much as you think. So I know there's a lot of people I've seen on the groups and stuff that go, "Oh, I got ceiling fans. I got ceiling fans." You're probably going to find that your top top shelf like microgreen trays are not going to yield nearly as much as the rest of them, or you're going to have to water them twice as often because they're going to dry out so crazy fast. We actually had a wall mounted fan that did rotate for a while. That was not good either. So, I mean, it's too much air is what it boils
Yeah.
down to. I know it sounds insane, but you just need light breeze, going everywhere in your farm, wherever your stuff is. It's air movement. It's not air blowing on the plants. You don't need the stupid little computer fans on every single shelf.
On the
It's great if you're just starting out and that's what you want to use, but ultimately that is going to be very expensive. Yeah, yeah. So, because I know, I mean, when we started, that's exactly what we did. We watched On the Grow, who are great people for getting people started. But
Yep.
they definitely they push that, which you don't need them. I mean, just get a regular standing fan, you'd be fine. Nothing against them though;
I
they're
found out
great
that the
people, and their video, huh?
I found out that computer fans that you put on the shelf, it, like the first tray gets a lot, the second tray gets some, the third, fourth
Yeah,
tray get no wind. So
yeah.
I just don't understand how
Especially if you
they're
got
valuable.
peas all the way against one end.
Ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, nope, it's just blowing right into the side of your peas.
For
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, it's just easier to just get a regular standing tower fan. It'll last you for years. They're usually about 80, $90 for the ones that we get anyway, $70 maybe, something like that, but it's a one-time purchase and it's good for a long, long time.
Exactly. All right, these are the basics of optimizing your indoor growing space, whether you're growing at home, commercial space, a shed, garage, wherever you're growing. These are basic environmental controls that you're going to need and tools you're going to need to do this stuff. So that's is the end of this episode. We want to thank you guys all for joining, and all of our members. Obviously, we always want to thank you guys of the channel. We appreciate you highly. You help make this possible for us, for me to be here and make it valuable for me to be here and be able to do this. So we appreciate you. And these are all of our harvest members. And I think the dates of these are probably need to be updated on how long they've been, but we'll get to that eventually. So, but thank you guys all, and we will see you in the next one.
All right.
Okay, and now on to Q&A. Did them in reverse, but all right. Hopefully we got some good Q&A. I only see 2 things started, guys. So if you want us to continue being here and answering questions, make sure you put them in. We have a 30-minute timer. We'll be here for 30 minutes to answer questions or until they run out, whichever one's first. So, and we always do members' questions first. I feel like I say that every time when the bell's coming up, like that. So, all right. So let's get into the questions.
Karina Aspenleaf, I have T8s and I want to maximize the number of shelves in a rack, install them pretty close together. Then would it be okay to put 2 T8 lights per shelf, or would that create problems? Heat
would be, you're going to have more heat and then you're going to use more power. When you only really need to get T5s and you really only need 1 T8. Depending on how close your shelves are. But yeah, them are the 2 issues I see. Andy?
Yeah, because it's not a matter of throwing 2 T8s on there and then bringing your shelves together. That's actually, you're going to be giving them more light than they need.
Yeah.
That's really the main thing. If you go and watch Joe Naaman Sessions videos on lighting, it's very, very detailed. It goes into it heavily. But basically, the short version of it is, you can have your shelves a lot closer together. We have ours about 9 inches, and we run 2 T5s per shelf. For the T8, you're going to run one, and it's got to be 10 to 12-ish inches apart to actually, get the proper lighting. If they're too close, it's going to be too much light. And if you put 2 on there and try and shrink it down, you're going to get way too much light.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely, I would highly recommend going and watching Joe's 2 videos on lighting, N-Bar S Microgreens on YouTube. They're very, very good videos, and it'll help explain that in way more detail than we have time to give you.
Yeah. And Karina, I posted that video before in the school group over on Growth Bites, I believe. All you got to do is go in the search bar up there and put lights in, and it's probably going to show up, and his video link will be there. You can go watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very, very detailed videos. Joe did a really good job.
Way better than what I could definitely tell you. He went in great detail of it, so they're awesome. He had to be 2-part series because he went in such good detail.
Yeah. All right, who's
Not many
next?
entries today.
Not a lot of entries today. I'm only at like what? How many
8.
entries? 9. I'm up to
9.
9 now.
All right.
So we need some more hashtag thumbcasts put in there.
Or they're gonna be
Or
easier
the
chances
odds are
to win.
even better. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Looking through for member questions first. Aspen had one more. Could you please explain a little bit more about what you mentioned in passing about racks aligned with the wall? I'm
Oh, it
assuming.
might have been what I was talking about earlier with the fans.
Oh,
So what we have right now is all of our racks are butted literally up against the wall, and then we have a fan blowing down the middle that's kind of out in our main walkway. What Mike did in their farm, which I thought was brilliant, was they actually pulled the racks off the wall, put the fan against the wall, and the fan's blowing down through the middle of the rack. So the fan is out of the way. You can walk behind the racks to be able to get back there and check for insects and stuff like that, which makes bug treatment, things like that, so much easier when they can actually get behind everything and spray. Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be where the wall meets the floor is where insects are going to hang out. So it's really nice for them to be able to get back in there and do that kind of thing. Plus, the fans are out of the way. You're not going to be tripping over them because I can not even tell you. I can't even count on 5 hands how many times I've tripped over these stupid fans. I'll be wheeling something backwards and trip
you're like,
over the
oh,
stupid thing, and it's a disaster. And it throws the remote that's hooked to it all over the place. And yeah, it's just that's the big benefit
disaster.
of moving the fans over to the wall. Keep them out of the way.
Yes. If you
So
got the
hopefully that's what
space.
you're asking about. Seems like it was.
Yeah.
Mark Barton asks, what do you use for pest control?
A local pest control company.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a mixed
that's
bag. I mean, we use the same, and I know you guys also use the little yellow traps. We do as well,
oh yeah, yeah.
for the same reason. So, I mean, the pest control companies aren't really going to handle. I mean, they probably could if they added additional things, but they're not going to be controlling your fungus gnats and your, the little teeny flies that are going to come out of your soil. So, really, that's kind of a little bit on you because they're going to handle more creepy crawly stuff that's coming in, mice, spiders, anything that's going to more or less stay on the ground. That's going to be their big thing. They can probably set up traps to catch flying things, but ultimately those little yellow sticky traps work fantastic. So we've got those. We've got which is pretty much a requirement as per the pest control people. They usually put in little boxes for mice, and they'll put stuff outside for bigger things like rats or mice or whatever, just in case. I mean, luckily, thank God, we've never had one in our grow space, but they're there as a preventative measure just in case. So it's kind of a combination of them, the pest control place spraying and doing the traps, and then the little yellow sticky things that we use. I know you guys use the same thing.
Yep, basically the same thing. And local pest control companies or any pest control company, they can do like there's because for Restaurant World, there's like the little box things that go on the wall, and they're like the blue light that will track the flying things to go in there. They're generally
Yeah.
pretty expensive. I recommend just if you have an issue, get the yellow sticky traps, or even if you don't have an issue, just put them up. Just put a couple up every once in a while where they're at, and it just takes care of a problem. A lot of people are like, oh my God, you got sticky traps. Yeah, I'm preventing a problem. Of course I got them up.
Yeah.
It's called prevention. Yes, having them up
Yep.
there.
Yeah. A lot better having them up and having nothing stick to them than not having
Yes.
them up, and all of a sudden you've got tens of thousands of little fungus gnats flying around. So
Yep,
yeah, it's just a good combination to have.
for sure. Oh, and just there is like if you do longer grows, there's a stuff you can put in the soil that will eat them bugs. Is that called?
Beneficial nematodes?
Yes, that beneficial nematodes.
There's also what's it called? Mosquito bits, I believe.
Mosquito bits. Yeah,
Mosquito
that's
bits.
another option,
Yeah.
which is similar
Another really good
concept.
one. Yeah, I'd only recently found out about that one, so I was excited about that. But for the most part, I mean, that's kind of where those yellow sticky traps will come in handy because you can figure out where they're coming from. I mean, we get them in celery for sure. We get them in basil if we let it grow too long, things like that, and that's where we see them come out the most. So, but we put things in prevention, into those specific areas on purpose. Maybe give a little more airflow, maybe do whatever. Add more traps if you have to. Just things like that definitely helps. So, but it helps to just kind of figure out where they're hanging out.
Yep. If you
If
don't
you
know where
can't
they're
figure it
at,
out
it's
on
hard to
your own.
control it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I definitely want to start using that mosquito bits. Probably that'll be another
Yes.
thing we add once we move into the new place.
Yeah, I've thought about that for sure because I want to try it and see if it works. And Joe talked about that.
Yeah.
Great. Genetic Memory Farms had a couple things. Check out NIWA. They make an environmental controller that is pretty easy to use and dial in VPD, vapor pressure differential, for those of us in tents. I used a P&L grow monitor, but it had no. Oh, there's more to that question. It had no.
Somewhere.
I don't know if I have flagged that one. Oh, ability to turn appliances on and off. The P&L sent alerts whenever temp or humidity went beyond or below set parameters. Yeah,
Nice.
so that's a good one to look at too.
Yeah.
And then
Sounds a little more industrial than the little Govies.
yeah.
For sure.
He says, I like to run the intake low and the outtake high at a high point of the top of the room. Helps remove heat, moisture, and keeps the spores, dust, dirt from settling on your vulnerable sprouts. Yeah, for sure. That you want to pull that heat from the top. Yeah, in a tent.
That's easy to control.
for sure,
like in
in
a
a tent.
tent, doing it that for sure. You want to do that, but like it's hard to do you have to get a really industrial system to do it inside of a warehouse. That's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
We had a vent fan that we would put in the top of the window at the house. It was at the top of the window and it would kick on anytime it hit like 77 up there, which would be the highest point of the room. And it would kick on every once in a while, but it was a great way to control the temperature that way too. And that was in a small room though.
Right. Facebook user.
Ooh, big question.
I have a very small 6 by 7 foot grow space in the basement where the temperature stays about 61 degrees. It nicely fits a rack and allows extra room for doing chores. Will T8 lights and heat generated from the microgreens bring the temp up enough since it is a small room? If not, would it be safe to put a heater in such a small closed space?
I would assume you're probably going to want to use a heater. I don't know that a T8's going to.
They
A
give
set
off
of
some
T8s, I
heat.
don't think is going to raise your temperature by 10 degrees. That'd be
Now,
a big ask.
if you're going to put a heater in there, make sure you strategically put it someplace that it's not next to a growing rack or anything like that. Maybe up underneath a table that you're going to be using to harvest on or something like that. So that way it's not near directly on the plants because you're going to burn them up. Trust me.
And definitely make sure it's a heater that you can set the maximum temperature so it shuts off automatically. You definitely don't want that thing just running nonstop.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too many that don't do that, but just in case, I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And you're definitely going to want to go to streamyard.com/Facebook if you're trying to get into the giveaway, because that actually, it's you showing up as Facebook user means you're not going to be able to get entered in. You have to give StreamYard permission to actually use your whatever on Facebook. It's something stupid Facebook has built in. So streamyard.com/Facebook will resolve that problem for you. Then you'll be able to actually enter in the giveaway.
Yeah. Thank you, Meta.
Yeah.
Just put a link for a smart heater.
Yes. Govee actually makes smart heaters as well that go to apps. So
Govee makes everything.
Don't they make? Aspen also asks, could you talk about a grow room with one external fan for air intake and compared with having two external fans for one for intake and one for air out?
One for in, one for out.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
kind of like a
that sounds more like a
greenhouse setup.
Yeah, that sounds more like a greenhouse or a tent setup than an actual room. I know there's people that have, rooms downstairs in a basement or whatever, where there's no outside air, and they'll use an exhaust system. Just 'cause I know Joe was a big fan of that. He talks about it all the time, where I guess just exhausts out hot air from the top or whatever. But we've never had to do it, so I wish I could answer your question better. Unfortunately, it's just not something we've had to experience.
Yeah. Sorry. Nematodes work great for the outside garden.
Yep.
Also, mosquito bits would work great for that out too, from what Joe said. So.
Yeah.
I live near a Griffin greenhouse supply and have thought about using their will call to save on shipping. Is there a preferred source to compare seed prices from multiple reputable vendors?
I don't think there's a single source that would get the prices, just because seed prices do change constantly.
A lot.
So only thing you're going to be able to do, you're going to have to do is probably look up, go to Greener Harvest, go to True Leaf, go to Mums, and look and see what their price is today, because it could change next week, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah,
You don't know.
literally. They change constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. It would be nice though to have some kind of a central thing to be able to pull out of that.
Maybe we can create an AI that would pull from all the current prices.
There's got to be a Zapier setup that you can do for that, maybe.
Exactly. Zapier would definitely have an AI because they got a lot of AI in their stuff now where it can just pull all that pricing.
Yeah.
Got the boys thinking now.
Jess and Mike have all the free time in the world right now, so they can throw something together like that. Probably by the end of tonight, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I ain't got nothing else to do tonight at all. Nothing. I think I got some time between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Yeah, see? I mean, you don't need sleep.
It's my cuddle time.
All right. Between 1 and 2.
1 and 2. So, Joan Mangiaricina. Okay, Joan asks, my broccoli was put under yesterday, but some are turning yellow. Is that a humidity problem, growing in ProMix, and bottom watering? Did you bring them out in bottom water, or did you
watering during germination?
I'm assuming she means putting under the light.
I'm assuming.
Are we talking like they started yellowing after you put them under the lights? Because if I don't top water enough, especially with a ProMix, they dry out and then the seed sticks and then it causes damage to the leaves.
So if you're bringing them out of germination, you always want to top water your plants the first time they come out of germination. And then you go to bottom water from there.
Yeah, because oftentimes your root hairs are literally going to be on the surface, and that's where you need the water to get to. So it's a good way to just, break up any mold colonies that may be there. A good way to just, take care of everything that's there. Yeah, definitely top water your first day out of germination for sure. Keep those seeds happy and those roots extra happy.
Extra happy. Yes, that's where you want to definitely keep happy is the roots. Okay, on to the next. If we got next.
Do you sterilize your soil or coco coir? When I start my garden plants, I boil the water to moisten it.
No need.
Wow. Yeah, you definitely don't need to.
If you need to sterilize your soil before you're using it, you probably have bad soil.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You definitely don't have to do that. I mean, in reality, you could just go get distilled water and save yourself a ton of time if you really wanted to go that route.
Yeah.
And save you having to boil all the water all the time. But yeah, we don't do any of that stuff.
No.
Regular water, regular soil, right out of the bag.
We try to keep things as simple as possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If
we had to boil water every time we wanted to water, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
We had to boil like 40 gallons a day.
We wouldn't be doing the volume we're doing. That's for sure. You wouldn't be able to grow to the volume we're at.
All right. Are you recycling your medium or are you throwing it out and starting fresh every time?
We start fresh every time for microgreens. 100%. Do not reuse the soil. Do not regrow the microgreens after the first cut. They're done. The soil's done for growing. You can compost it. You can give it to chicken farmers, pig farmers, animal farmer, all that stuff. You can give it away to them, but you do not reuse it in your farm.
Yeah, mainly because it's indoor. If you're growing outside, the environment takes care of a lot of the problems versus indoors where a lot of issues it's very easy for things to start in a bad way. Beyond the fact that you've got cross-contamination and things potentially involved as well. I mean, if somebody was allergic to peas and they use the same soil mat to plant broccoli or something, if they're like deathly allergic to peas or something, they could eat your broccoli and potentially have an allergic reaction or worse, as a result. It's just not worth taking the chance.
Not inside, like Andy said. Yep. Don't do it.
Yeah. Outdoors all day long. Compost it, reuse it. It's great compost.
Great. Best compost you're ever going to get.
And it breaks down really fast.
Yeah.
Usually in about 2 or 3 weeks, you've got pretty much ready to use soil all over again. It's crazy how quick it can go.
Even faster if you got chickens helping you with it.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, we can put a mat of sunflower out there, and then within 5 minutes, it looks like it never existed.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Aspen clarified. Sorry, you don't have a fan in the wall somewhere to get some fresh air into the grow room and get air from the grow room out? Just circulate the air within the room with tower fans?
Yes.
Yep. So the fan I was talking about earlier, Yeah,
ahead.
I think it might be confusing with the fan I was talking about earlier. I had a wall-mounted fan that just rotated. It wasn't like meant for exhaust or intake or any of that kind of stuff. It wasn't bringing air in or pushing air out. It was just a wall-mounted fan, and that thing was it was way too much air for the plants. They were drying out like crazy. So I
You're
don't know if
gonna
that's
get
what you're
air.
referring to. I apologize.
You're gonna get air exchange in your building, in your warehouse, in your house with the doors opening up and
Yeah.
back. Here, we got a back door that we take all the stuff out of and everything else. We open that back garage door, so we get a lot of air exchange. You should be going in and out of your door, occasionally. Hopefully, you're going in and out of your building. You're going to get that air exchange to freshen it up. You don't need to have something necessary bringing something in all the time.
And with your, dehumidifier and your fans and things like that, the climate control, you're negating that by bringing air in or taking it out sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
It's the best part about having chickens and ducks. The farm, they all our spin trays go to, and our eggs are, the eggs are so much better when you're using
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah.
So much better. Everybody always
Yeah, we
loved
had
our
one
eggs at
chicken
the
farmer
farmer's
that was
market.
taking our stuff. Yeah, we had one chicken farmer that was taking our stuff for a while there, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, the eggs are just it's a world of difference with them eating microgreens all the time." So yeah, if you have chickens or ducks, definitely feed your ducks and chickens microgreens, your spent trays. They'll eat the
Yes.
dirt and everything. It's insane.
All of it. It's gone.
Except peas. Our chickens are bougie and they don't eat the pea mats.
They walk on them.
Yeah, they make really great door mats for the chickens, and they'll just sit there for weeks, like they never will eat them.
That's crazy.
And then in the
I wonder
compost,
why.
we had one big pile that in the compost pile it was just peas because it just took forever to break them down. So we had just one pile just for peas because the chickens wouldn't tear them up for us. So, all right. Any other questions?
Chickens eat the leftover micro stems and root out of the soil. They just leave the
All of
soil.
it.
Yeah,
They eat it all.
I mean there's soil
Yeah.
left over, but that's literally
Not
it.
Not much.
Not much.
It's kind of insane.
They actually like to eat the little perlites, that's in the soil because that's like eating the oyster shells and the rocks and stuff that they like to eat, which is good for them. So it's actually really good for them too, especially that perlite just getting in there. So yeah, they eat pretty much all of it.
Yeah, we've met farmers that didn't want the perlite in there because they're afraid it would hurt the chickens, but it's not styrofoam, it's just rock.
It's rock.
So they eat grit all the time. Our ducks don't let the chickens get
Yeah.
to the peas.
Yep.
There we go. We needed ducks. That's what we were
We do
missing.
not need ducks. No ducks.
Genetics says, I've been recycling the same indoor medium for almost a decade, but I've never considered an allergy. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Well. Okay. Well, we'll move into the giveaway. We have no more questions. Make sure you get that hashtag Thumbcast in. And we'll bring up the thing to spin to draw. I guess it draws randomly. It does its own tool there, and it'll pick a winning name, and then we'll do the spin to see what you win. So get that in there, and we'll get a winner here soon.
Yep. Hashtag Thumbcast. That's all you have to do is enter that in as a comment. And if you're a Facebook user, then you got to make sure you go to streamyard.com/Facebook. It will not enter you. Whoever just put in hashtag Thumbcast literally right now, that it's not going to go in. You need to
OBJ?
go to streamyard.com/Facebook.
Yep. And yes, chickens love sunflowers. Like that is their favorite. Seeds and all.
Yep. There we go. Oh,
There
we
you go.
got people
Your
putting their
number
numbers in. Some confident individuals here.
Yeah, go ahead. Put them numbers in. Spam that chat.
Yep.
Put your numbers in.
1 through 20. So if you're the winner, it means that Jess is going to click the mouse that number of times. So whatever number you actually enter in is how many times she's going to click to actually choose the prize that you get for the spinning wheel. So that's why we get everybody to put numbers in. Oh, see, Justin's putting 20 in, screwing you over, Jess.
Bad. It's some Facebook users. Can't trust them Facebook people.
Yeah, whose partner is that, Leah? It was fun though last week having him on and everybody else. That was really neat to do
Yes.
the live. I don't know if you weren't here last week, you missed out. We actually brought people from the audience literally onto the podcast, and they were on here, video and all, asking questions, which was really fun. So
Yep.
that was really
We'll do it
cool.
again.
Yeah,
Maybe every 10 episodes or something. Maybe at the, I thought it was episode 40. I was off by one because we had an off week one time when we both couldn't do it. So it kind
yeah.
of messed that up. But maybe every 10 or so, we'll maybe do something like that. Something special.
And you guys need to understand how many podcasts actually make it to 40 episodes. It's
1%.
probably less than 1% make it this far. And I don't think we've repeated content yet at this point, like nothing major. So,
No,
it's pretty
I mean, there's
cool.
obviously
And a
bits
lot of
and
the
pieces
props,
of everything, but no.
yeah,
No
and a lot of the
repeat.
props go to these two, go to Mike and Jess, because they spend the time putting together what we're going to talk about every week. And, so I definitely want to give them extra credit. I just show up and I just have to talk. It's easy for me. They're spending all the time actually putting together the StreamYard, all the stuff, like all the little animations you see at the bottom, everything else, that all happens because of their time. I just literally show up and be an idiot on screen, and that's pretty much it. But they're putting all the back end stuff in that you guys don't see. So, definitely, I'm appreciative of them even letting me be on here beyond the fact that all the extra work that they do, outside of this, outside of what you see here, the fact that it's a husband and wife team literally dedicating every single Saturday night and every day practically at this point where you guys are live in some fashion,
Yep.
they're out there doing that. So it's really awesome.
Yep, we definitely are live almost every day. 99 out of 10 days for sure. We're live somewhere doing something.
Yep.
We'll be live tomorrow doing harvesting. So you can come here and check us out. We'll be doing that, see how we do our harvesting and everything, and packing and putting stuff away and all that stuff. It's a three-person team that does it all. So me, Jess, and our son, who's our employee, that does it all. So yeah, just a few trays to do, just a few.
Yeah.
And then if you guys don't know, I have a school group. Andy's part of a school group as well now that they're doing some teaching of stuff. It's we are too. The easiest way to find us both, if you just go to school.com, set your profile up, and just go to the search bar, put Microgreens in, and both my two groups show up, their group shows up. You guys can check us both out of that and everything else. So that's the easiest way to find us both. Just go to school.com, set your profile up, and just type Microgreens in. We both, all the groups will show up. We're 1, 2, and then they're 3. Don't worry about the people that are on the bottom 4 and 5.
Yep. Yeah. The growth bites. I mean, it's a great option to get started if you don't have any money to spend. It's a free community. There's a ton of people in there all the time. I'm in there all the time as well. So Mike and I are both involved in that group heavily. And then you can go beyond that and get into Mike's Microgreen coaching group, which is a really good group. There's a lot of really good content in there. Obviously, they've been doing this for years and years and years. And then, Josh and Robert Meredith and I started a group just recently. So we're starting to get out there, trying to help people out as well. So to spread the wealth, don't hesitate to not be part of both of them. If you can pull it off, you're definitely going to learn a ton, from a bunch of different people. So Growth Bites is a great way to start. It's totally free. So it's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of good information in there.
Right now, they're both pretty cheap. Ours is $27. We got 5 spots left at the $27. It's normally $97 for it. So we're doing a special at $27. I think your group's $17 right now. And that price
at the moment, because we just started, so we put it out there at $17, and you can lock it in, and it'll be $17 for life. So if you get in the next, I think 3 days at this point, I think on the 17th, the price is going to go up. We haven't even decided what that's going to be yet at this point. So we're literally that new to this whole process, but we're trying to focus more on getting good content up and running before we worry about that kind of thing. So it's kind of nuts.
Yep,
but it's a lot of fun.
Yep. And in our group, we do weekly Q&As. So, even more detailed than what this is, that everybody comes on a Zoom call. We all hang out. We have a meeting and talk and go in detail, helping you with whatever you have going on with your farm right now. And even if you don't have anything that you need questions from, somebody's going to ask a question. They're going to go like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize that, and you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
So they're very valuable. We do a free Q&A every month for the Growth Bites people, which we have 104 members, I think, right now, 103, 104
Yeah, you
in
just
there.
passed 100 last week. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So we do a free Q&A once a month for that, and we actually have a party coming up this Thursday for hitting 100 members. So we're gonna do a party
Nice.
from like 6 to 9 and just hang out and bring your favorite drink, whatever you want to do, and probably do some giveaways and stuff, and just hang out and
That's
have
awesome.
a good time. So that will be
I
fun.
should be able to be there for that.
All right, cool.
Pretty
Cool.
sure. I have to run deliveries that day, but then I also have to drop my wife off and she's going to be gone for 3 days. So
Oh,
I'll have free time that evening.
work trip, I'm assuming for her, or she just getting
No,
away
no,
from
it's
you?
no, well, it's a little bit of that probably, but we're part of like a larger Christian organization and she's on a team this coming
Nice.
next weekend. So it's an
Awesome.
adult weekend basically for women. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
That's nice.
Yep. So it should be cool.
Coming in on 2 wheels.
Uh-oh. Better not be riding a motorcycle watching the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Don't be doing that, please. Please don't do that.
One last second question. Had a little mold last week. Will adjust my watering and airflow, but would it also benefit to sanitize the grow room with bleach or Xeritol? How much mold are we talking?
I mean, it's never a bad
Yeah.
thing to go and sanitize things. So I'm never going to say, like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that. But
It's probably overkill for what you
yeah,
if the whole tray is like full of mold, that's a different story. But if you just got a couple little spots here and there, I mean, like Mike said, it's a good idea to clean the whole place every once in a while, but you don't have to do it just because of a tiny bit. It's usually just because a seed didn't germinate and ends up dying off, and mold just does what it does in nature and starts eating it, essentially. So it's rare. I mean, what isn't rare? I don't want to say that. It's
yeah.
rare that you're going to have an entire week's worth of plantings that isn't going to have at least one tiny spot, in some fashion. So yeah, don't be afraid of that. It's not the end of the world.
We are planting thousands of seeds, thousands of seeds. So you're bound to have something
Yeah,
die off.
probably
And
tens of thousands.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
When you really
something's
think
going to
about it.
happen. But you
Yep.
just take care of the problem, dig it out, take it out, treat it, do whatever you need to do with that problem, usually taking care of itself. But you should always be sanitizing your equipment. Let me say that, like
Yeah.
your trays, your
Yeah.
utensils, your bins, if you're using bins, whatever you're using, you should always be sanitizing them every time after use. So
Yep. Yeah, and I wish I could remember what the term was in the gap training, but it's basically like you've got like level one or step one or something where it's like these are things that are literally touching the food all the time, and then you've got
yeah,
another level, where it's things that are occasionally touching the food, then you've got things that are never touching the food. So it's like the stuff that never touches the food you obviously have to clean less often, but you still want to clean it because
yeah.
ultimately things are going to settle on like walls and ceilings and things like that. You want to make sure you just wipe those down every once in a while just to keep your place clean. It's good to have a good cleaning regimen and just get a schedule together that you just automatically do. We have our setup in farm flow, so we just add the tasks in and they show up whenever they want to. Oh yes,
Mm.
so it's freaking right there. It's right there. I met with them literally yesterday. And so the problem we were having is the handles are 40 freaking dollars. The ones that
Oh,
I really, really love, but they're $40 for a set. It's ridiculously expensive. They're
yeah.
so nice. But so we were trying to find alternative handle options. My hope is to still offer kind of the premium handle option that you can still get, the whole set with the premium handles, which I would recommend. I mean, I'm telling you right now, these things they're round, they're really, really nice. So we're trying to get like a more like a flat bar that kind of has kind of this shape, if you will, and it's about maybe inch and a quarter wide. So it really purchases well, like on this part of your hand when you're actually pressing down. They made a couple of mock-ups for me yesterday to look at. The downside was the mock-up wasn't tall enough. So when I actually put my hand around the handle and went to push down, my hand was literally pushing against the top of the piece of sheet metal, or aluminum or whatever. So it wasn't like a good fit. So I had them. They're going to make another one. I think it's like a quarter inch higher, and then another one that's half inch higher, and see what feels good. So we're really, really close. They should actually be sending me 3D renderings this week coming up, I'm hoping, to where I can actually start building, a product page and we can start doing pre-orders and stuff like that. But yeah, it is it is really close. I just need you guys to understand that these things are not cheap to make, because you're using food grade materials, unfortunately, and the way that I've got the screws inlaid. So obviously you're, attaching the handles from the bottom of the plate, because they have to also be, what's it called? Geez, just fell completely out of my head. You have a hole, then you have kind of the little extra hole that the screw sets inside of.
Yeah.
So that way when you're pressing, you're not going to get any screw indentations or anything. It's just solid flat. But we've been using the prototype at our farm for probably the last 5 or 6 months, and what a world of difference it makes. You don't even have to worry about leveling out the soil nearly as much as you normally would, because it's so solid. When you push down, it just flattens everything really nicely. So yeah, it's really close. Believe me, I'm actually probably this week going to be announcing, the actual like pre-sale costs and all that kind of stuff as well. So keep an eye on my Facebook groups, and on my Fresh Source Farms website. We'll eventually have an actual product listed on there too. They'd be able to purchase directly from us. And I'm going to talk with Joe. Not Joe. I just saw Joe's name pop up. I'm going to talk with Josh, and other places to see if we can actually sell them on his website and other websites as well, just to get it out there. So we did have a discussion with Bootstrap Farmer. Unfortunately, they are not ready to take it on because they don't have any idea what it is essentially and how much potential demand it could have. So I'm not expecting to sell a ton of these. It's not really about that. It's more just to get a clean, food safe, 100% food safe, the screws and everything, literally all food safe material, get it out there and just have it be an awesome thing. So make me a
Gorilla
bunch of
hands.
bigger handles for gorilla hands. Yeah, trust me. I mean, I'm 6'1". I'm not as tall as you, Joe, but my hands are pretty gigantic. So if it's, I'm going to make sure it's got plenty of clearance. And if it doesn't, I'll send you new handles, brother. Because I'm hoping to sell these with a lifetime warranty as well. That's really my goal. That's why it's going to be made out of really good quality stuff.
All right, we're getting to the giveaway now, guys. You got about 10 seconds to put in hashtag Thumbcast. If you have not yet, make sure you do that. And Jess is going to draw, and then we're going to pick a winner out of that. Well, that machine will pick a winner, the website or whatever you want to call it will pick a winner. And then we will spin the wheel. How many times you want to do it from 1 to 20? Just go ahead and put that number in. You can put it in now if you would like. If you think you're going to win, go ahead and put it in. And then we will spin the wheel to see what you win. There's a lot of stuff on there. One-on-ones with Andy, one-on-one with me, which my one-on-one now is $147. Just because we are that busy that it has to be $147 for us to do that. So that's a great value there. We got some other giveaways, t-shirts, spreadsheets, all kinds of stuff like that. Farm Flow's in there, 3 months, 6 months, all that stuff. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's all good
talked
stuff.
enough, so let's draw. Who's going to win, Andy?
Oh man, I haven't even looked. Let's see. I think Lorena's going to win. She came in on 2 wheels.
I'm going with Jonah. Jonah. This one right here. This is my winner right here. Let's see.
Oh, Joan. Joan with the last name that has every letter in the alphabet in it.
Yes. Oh.
Hey, Leah.
We haven't been right in a long
staff
time.
Member. Yeah, I know. We have too many viewers now. It's so hard.
We do not have too many viewers
back in the day. That's true. All right, Leah, congratulations. Hopefully you put a number in.
Leah put a number in.
And see. If you didn't enter a number, put a number into the comments. Oh,
yeah,
she did. Number 9.
Number 9. All right. Good luck, Leah.
All right. Let's see what you get. I always have to drag you to another screen so I can actually see what it is.
Well, that thing is really...
Yeah, it's like really jumping all over the place. Come on, go, 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 go.
Almost a one-on-one with me. Oh. All right. Budget and sell spreadsheet.
Not that it's a bad price, but...
Leah, if you get a hold of me, Mike at microgreenbusinesscoaching.com. I'm sure Jess will put that in there for you. Just get a hold of me there, and we will get that over for you. We appreciate you guys all being here and taking part of our giveaway. So there it is right there on the screen. If you guys want to know any more information about our school group or anything, you can go to school group like we said earlier, or you can email me as well, and I can get you information all over there as well. So
Yep. Yeah, and obviously you guys all know where to find both of us. So if you have any questions outside of this, or you're having trouble finding either one of those school groups or whatever, just reach out. You can DM us on Facebook, whatever. We'll get you guys taken care of.
Yeah, and in our school group, the Growth Bites, if we didn't get your question answered and it's a question you need answered, if you're not part of the member, be a member of that group. Go over there, ask the question, and we will answer it. Myself, Jess, or maybe even Andy will answer the question for you. You never know.
Yep.
So
I'm in there all the time. I check all my school groups all day.
cool. It's cool to go to school. So
That's it.
All right. Thank you guys all for being here. We're going to go ahead and head out and get things cleaned up and ready for tomorrow's harvest. I think we got everything done we need to get done today. Maybe have some dinner before 10 p.m. tonight would be great. Thank you guys again. We will see you back again next week, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here for the next episode of the podcast. Have a great day.
Yep.